So, we have discussed about the introduction of bearings, and now this is our experiment. The experiment is to study the performance of hydrodynamic journal bearing, and there are some objectives also, we will come to it. But you see this particular slide, what it shows. This is the axle box used for goods wagon, the Great Eastern Railway. Why this is shown here? You see, what is the diameter of this axle? It's about 4 inch. And we have already talked about Towers experiment, Beauchamp Tower. This is the setup which Beauchamp Tower used. He published his report in 1883, which was instrumental in the development of hydrodynamic theory. Now this tower, this T should have been in capital, sorry. Anyway, so this tower was an engineer of this Great Eastern Railway. Okay, so and that is why his experimental setup, this dimension is also 4 inch, 6 inch, like that. This is the actual bearing that was being used at that time. There is much more in this bearing. You must, if you see this thing, how well this design are, you would be understand that. You see the moment at this point, this is a simply supported bearing. You see this one is spherical here. So this one can rotate about this point, the whole thing, this axle. It won't get any moment here. You see how this is supported?
Yes, sir.
It is free to rotate at this point. How well this is designed, this housing. Okay. So the thing is at that time, so this is basically immediately after Industrial Revolution. Okay. They had to export those cottons. It started with the weaving, the power loom. And there were so many power loom companies there from Manchester, starting from Manchester. They had to export those cottons or cotton mill, other thing was coming up. And so railway is the major transport mechanism there.
Yes, sir.
And at that time material science was not that much improved. Okay. So that is why there was much importance on this bearing to reduce the friction coefficient of the bearings, to increase the life of the bearings. So that was the time when Beauchamp Tower was carrying out the experiment. So from another angle you can see the setup. These are the manometer tubes. There were some tappings on the housing. So this setup is the basic setup for hydrodynamic journal bearing experiment, and the setup that we are using in our laboratory. Okay. This is also, this is also quite similar to the setup that Tower used. Okay. We will see to it later. So this was Tower's experiment. We have talked about that. So this is the modeling. This was partial arc bearing. Although this is closed, it is not that it is open. Some observation, small coefficient of friction, increase in sliding speed, operating temperature, whatever. This is the report based on which Reynolds developed the theory of hydrodynamic bearing. Okay, this is our laboratory experimental report sheet. Okay. There is some mistake. This Reynolds equation, this is in 1886, the first one. Petrov's equation is in 1883. Anyway, so in the previous slide we have discussed about this Reynolds equation. We have rather referred to the actual paper where he published this equation. It was in 1886. This is empirical relation, a pseudo-theoretical equation by Petrov in 1883. And later on, after this Towers experiment, extensive experimentation was carried out by Mackey and Mackey brothers. These reports are also available. Now let us come to our experiment. This is the experiment, study performance of hydrodynamic journal bearing. The objective is to study the features, then to obtain the Strebeck curve and to identify various lubrication regimes. So you understand what is a Strebeck curve. That is what we have shown in our last slide. Such a curve where there were three regions. Okay, this was the friction coefficient along y-axis and bearing characteristic number along x-axis. That is Strebeck curve. And to determine the pressure distribution and load carrying capacity and to compare these experimental values with theoretical computed ones. So that means this is the pressure distribution. Okay. We will see what is the pressure distribution in that setup. Okay. Now the theory part, this is not what we are going to discuss, but the thing is ultimately we are going to make a plot of mu, this means coefficient of friction mu, and Zn by P, this is the viscosity coefficient. Okay. And this rotational speed P is, this is only unit load. Okay. The load projected bearing area, L into D is the projected bearing. So this is this curve is known as Strebeck curve.
Yes.
Now here what is written is that in a short bearing approximation the pressure distribution can be derived from Reynolds equation. What does it mean? The thing is, you see, this diameter of the bearing was 4 inch roughly, and along this for Towers experiment this was 6 inch. Okay, so along the axis of this shaft or this bearing, what about the pressure distribution? We know that in radial direction there is a pressure distribution, but what about pressure distribution in longitudinal or in axial direction?
Uniform.
Is it uniform? That is the question. We are assuming this as uniform, but in actual case from the ends there would be leakage.
Yes.
Right? So those are known as end effects, and then again if there is some pressure drop at the ends, should it remain uniform all through the length, etc. So that much we are not focusing. Okay. Using short bearing, the pressure distribution can be derived. That means here we are assuming that pressure distribution remains uniform without end effect. Okay, this is the thing, and these are some experimental findings. Okay,
Yes.
for Strebeck curve, we will be developing such a curve, such curves. Okay, these are our objectives. This is pressure distribution curve. Now this is a schematic diagram of the setup. This is the setup. Okay, in this setup, this is the front view. Okay, in this front view, see, this is the front view. We have a shaft, then there is the bearing. Okay. Say this is known as the journal also, this portion of the shaft which is within bearing, this is known as the journal. Now what is this shaft? This shaft is part of this motor. This is a DC motor. So that means its speed can be varied with a variac controller. Okay. And this bearing with end covers and pressure tappings. How many pressure tapping are there? Total 16. Okay. Now out of this 16, 1 to 12, this 1 to 12 are in different radial positions. 12 means they are 30 degree apart. So at 30 degree apart, if we connect them to manometers, we will get pressure reading. You see here, yes. These are pressure tappings around the journal, and these pressure tappings, they are connected. Each tapping is now passed through this plate. They are marked, as well as on the manometers also there are marking. Okay. Manometer marking starting from 1 up to 16. Out of this, 1 to 12 is for different angular location, and then there are more, the 13, 14, 15, 16 as well as this 1. It is in this direction, so we have 5 tapping in axial direction. This is just to observe whether pressure distribution is uniform or not. Yes. This is the thing. This is oil supply. Okay. To fill the space between the journal and the bearing completely, the oil level is higher than its location is in a higher altitude than the location of the bearing, which you can see here. Yes. Okay, this is the oil level indicator. Okay. So the completely, this is the shaft within this thing. From outside we can see the housing part. Yes. And what is there within? This is the extension of this motor, yes, which is the DC motor as shown there, and this is the speed controller of the DC motor. This is a variac controller, means with a velocity control, velocity operating velocity is changed across the DC motor, and then we get various rotational speeds. So this is the DC motor, and to measure the speed, again you recall our critical speed experiment. We added digital speed tachometer, a digital type, right? We used a 30 teeth gear, but here in this particular experiment there is a 60 teeth gear, so that we get the direct RPM reading. Yes. Okay, that part also you can see in this figure. Okay, this is the same type of sensor we had used earlier. You see the part of that gear teeth you can observe here. Okay, some of the gear teeth are observable. So it is facing that gear teeth, and for each rotation we get 60 signals through this. It is connected to digital tachometer. This is clear. What else? The tappings you can understand what is there. And then what are these things? These are the loads. This is the outer casing. So now you see what happened in Tower's experiment. Where is the load? The load was given on the housing. Now in actual application, load comes on the shaft, but this is the reverse arrangement. Here also this is the reverse arrangement. We have a shaft inside, yes, that is rotating, but the load, it is connected with the housing, that means on the bearing itself. Clear? So these are the loads. Now what is there in that part? Now what will happen if we rotate the shaft? Say the speed is sufficient, we have a speed controller, speed is sufficient so that a hydrodynamic action is there in between. So there is a complete fluid film developed. But this hydrodynamic action, this gives rise to a shear force. Recall the law of viscosity.
Yes.
So where that shear force will act now? So relatively, which one is fixed? If you fix one, the other one will experience that shear force, right? The shaft is rotating, so due to that shear force, it will try to rotate this housing along with it.
Yes.
Due to that shear force, right? So this rotation has to be restricted. This clear? So and mechanism is there. You focus on this part. We have a elaborated view here. I'll show you. And you also see this. These are the supply points. Okay. We had a sump. From this sump, these are the supply points. Okay. Here we have supply line. This you will see greater detail here. These are the supplies. Okay, now this is the detail I was talking about. You see, this is the housing. From this housing, we have this load which is hanged. Now, what next? Here we have a restriction. This part again is shown here. This is from the front, and in a slightly angular view, you see, now these two load or weight, these weights, you can see these two are the weights.
Yes, sir.
And centrally you focus here. Okay, here we have a restriction. This you can see here. This one is the restriction. So when it will try to rotate, this will obstruct the rotation. This much is clear? You understand? So how it acts? This restriction now acts as a cantilever, is it not?
Yes, sir.
This restriction is at the tip of the cantilever, and the cantilever is fixed with this fixed frame. This is the fixed frame. You see here, this cantilever is fixed there. Although it is not very clear, but if you follow, you will understand. Here we have a cantilever beam which is fixed with this frame.
Yes.
Okay. So now what happens? Due to the rotation of this shaft, there is a power source, the shaft is rotating.
Yes.
There is a hydrodynamic action which is generated. Thereby, there is a shear force which is generated. The housing is trying to rotate. That rotation is prevented by this cantilever.
Yes.
So, at the tip, there is a force.
Yes.
What is the magnitude of that force?
Yes.
The torque value is known.
Yes.
So, torque is basically some force into, that means the radius here, if this is the fixed arm. Okay. If this is known, we can find out what is the torque there.
Yes.
If the force is known,
Yes.
how that force can be known?
This weight.
No. Due to this weight, the shear force is generated. This weight is not directly connected with this cantilever. What is the function of this weight? This is the weight which is coming on the housing.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so this is generating the unit pressure on the bearing.
Yes.
Okay, you increase this load, your unit pressure on the bearing will change, and with this your tau value that will change.
Yes.
Okay. So, if the tau value changes, ultimately we will measure the tau value. Okay, rather, if we measure the force here, that can also give us the tau value. That is clear?
Yes.
Now the question is how to measure the tip force. This is a cantilever.
Using this relation.
No, those are theoretical relations. You cannot apply Euler-Bernoulli beam equation there. You have to make a measurement, and that measurement is done by using a strain gauge. Now you focus here. You see, this is the outer casing, okay?
Yes.
With this outer casing, some weight is there. Some weight is there. The rotation of this outer casing is prevented by this cantilever beam. This item 1 is a cantilever beam. Okay. Item 2 is the rotation restrictor plus weight is there. That weight part is not shown in the schematic. Okay. Now this is the variac controller, this is the motor, speed controller, these things we have shown. Right. Now at the bottom or at the fixed end of this cantilever, where is the cantilever in the other view? This one is the cantilever, item 1, item 2 the restrictor.
Yes.
Okay, that means in this figure, this is cantilever, this is the restrictor, these are the weights. Clear? So here we have some strain gauges fixed. Where is that photograph? There, towards the base, some strain gauges are there, fixed there. Okay, from those strain gauges, you follow this wire. This is coming and it will go to a strain indicator device. Okay. So this is how we measure the tip force, rather we measure the strain gauge reading. Okay. So anyway, the strain gauge experiment you did earlier in another experiment. Okay. In applied mechanics you did that experiment. And what we get from a strain gauge? The change in resistance of the strain gauge where ultimately they are given in micro strain value, right? And that strain value we can calibrate with some load. If we provide some known load to the tip of the cantilever, we can calibrate the strain gauge reading. These are the observations we made
Yes.
for that particular cantilever. Okay. And this is the curve. This is the best fit line of those measurement points. These are the load in kg force. These are the load, and these are the strain reading. Okay. This is calibration curve of cantilever. Is clear?
Yes.
Micro strain reading. These values are plotted. So from this measurement, we know how much force is applied at the tip. Okay, then if this force is known, we know how much torque is generated.
Yes.
This torque again is the frictional torque coming from that shear stress.
Yes.
We have a theory behind that. So we can make a theoretical calculation to determine the pressure distribution, load carrying capacity, and to compare these experimental values with the theoretical computed values. Okay. That part is also there in your report, that is not shown here. Okay. But this is what is known to you. You go back to the theory part in your textbook or other things, you will find that theory part. So this is one part of the experiment.
Yes.
The other part is to obtain the pressure plot or the diagram indicating the pressure distribution around the journal. And for that we use these tapping points. We take reading in these manometer tubes. This is in static condition, all the levels are uniform here. See, and but when this will run, some will grow, some will go down.
Yes, sir.
This is what will happen. So this is what we have already mentioned. This is strain gauge, and thereby we will get such a plot. Okay, that plot we will also get from manometer reading. This is the Strybeck curve. Whatever we have discussed about this thing earlier, introduction part. And these are the results that you have to note from there. Okay, there are two parts of the experiment. One is to plot this Strybeck curve, other one is to obtain the pressure distribution diagram. So these two tables are for that. Okay. So table 1, this is for the pressure distribution curve. Okay. This is what you need to observe, how much, what is the density of oil, initial oil level, final oil level. That means this is initial oil level. You take a note of this. There are scales, okay,
Yes.
on these things. And when this will run, you have to wait for some time, a steady state will attain. When initial level is known, you note what is the final level, and then final oil level you note. This is the difference, and you can find out the density of oil is there, what is the pressure at that point. So make a plot. There are 12 such points at 30-degree interval.
60.
No, 12 is at 30-degree interval, and other 4, those are for axial direction. So that reading is also required, but that will give you the pressure distribution in axial direction. 5 readings are there actually. Okay. So here you will get only 12 readings, and in this direction you will get 5 readings.
Yes.
So these two plots you have to make. One is radial pressure distribution, another is axial pressure distribution. Okay. So this is for your table 1, and table 2, this is for making this Strybeck curve, plotting this Strybeck curve. What will change here? Will change the rotational speed.
Yes.
Okay. So for various rotational speed, of course, if this thing changes, coefficient of friction will change. Okay.
Yes, sir.
If this changes, coefficient of friction will change, and with this change, the shear force will change,
Yes.
and ultimately the load at the tip of the cantilever, this will also change. What we are measuring corresponding to the speed, we are measuring strain gauge reading. Okay, you understand from here. So from this we will get the frictional force ultimately.
Yes.
This frictional force again coming from that shear force, right?
Yes, sir.
What is the total load that we know? And that friction coefficient mu is F by W. We will calculate it from there. So this thing you can repeat. So for a particular weight, carry out this experiment, you change this weight. This weight means this one, this one. You can add another weight here. This is the loading arm. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Change that weight, you can get another set of this Strybeck curve. Because what you have changed here is this P, unit pressure. Okay. So this is the experiment that you have to carry out. Of course, in such situation, you understand what is the experiment. Okay. So, given some experimental values, previous values are there. If someone of you collect those results, the old results, old experiment sets are available in our laboratory. Okay, they can make the complete report out of it. Okay, so that is clear. This is our experiment on hydrodynamic
Yes.
bearing. Then other one is hydrostatic. So we will be discussing it now.